Hello YouTube, today I'm going to show you how to make an image equally singular with the singular characteristics as this. And by that I mean how to make stitches in Adobe Photoshop. So you want to go over to your Adobe Photoshop, open the image that you want to edit and put stitches on. So go ahead and do that. Zoom in. You want to go ahead and duplicate the layer by Control J on your keyboard. And now we're basically set. We're going to need three different layers after this. But we're going to start with this one. Now I'm using a bamboo touchpad to draw on. You can use a mouse, it doesn't matter. Okay. So you want to go over here to your burn tool. Select it. You want to make sure you have your exposure on 80. On 80. It doesn't have to be exactly 80. Now usually you want protect tones, but in this case we're not going to, because if we have protect tones, it's not going to do much good for us because it doesn't show up. It would take too many hits for it to show up. Now I'm going to Control J that again to make sure that it's fresh. So go ahead and make sure it's on exposure, and then you have your shadows selected. And make sure your brush is relatively small. So now we're going to go ahead and start drawing in on the image with the burn tool. And this resembles the scar. And remember when I said it wouldn't do much of a difference. So go ahead and draw it in with the protect tones off. Oh, that's good. It resembles a little scratch right there. There we go. And that's fine. So let's go ahead and make another layer for the stitch. Name this stitch. Come on, go over to your line tool. Make sure this is selected. You have your line selected. Your weight's going to be 2. People would argue that you need to use 3 or 4, but 2 is perfect because 3 is a little too big and 4 is way too big. If you've ever had stitches, it's about that big whenever you have them. It's about the size of fishing string. So we want our opacity to be 100 for now, and we're going to go ahead and add in our stitches where we feel best. With them there. And since this part's right here is a little confusing, I'm going to skip it for now. I'll come back to it. Just go ahead and add in the easy ones right now. That one's a little off. Doesn't have to be even on both sides because the stitches aren't perfect, but that was just way off. And then go ahead and add this one in. And that, I'm a doctor, but I don't think that's the way they would stitch that. But so we're gonna go ahead and zoom out, and zoom out far enough to where, like, okay, yeah, that looks decent. All right, so now we're gonna go over here to our filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and either 1 to 2, but I'm going to go with 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 is good. Anything below 1.0. And that should be, yep, that's good. Okay. What that did is it added a little bit of blur so it didn't look so hard on the edges. And now I accidentally created a new layer. So we're going to go back to our layer that we burned on. And to not get this confused, I'm going to go ahead and visualize this layer. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to make sure my burn tool is selected. Same settings. And I'm going to come over here and put it on the edges so it looks a little bit more realistic. I'm making sure that these three have like a little bit of a connection going on. I'm going to keep doing this. The reason I chose this shape for the scar, so you guys could understand how to get through the complexity part of it, and just free ball on it, or freestyle it. That's basic. No. Let's just keep tapping on it. There we go, that's good. And then right here, I'm going to keep tapping. Here I'm going to keep tapping. That's good. Okay, and that's practically done with the stitch part. Okay, now that we're done with the stitch part, we can go ahead and add in the irritation and the bruising. So we're going to go over to our brush, select red, and we want our opacity to be around 8. 8 or lower is good. And we want our mode to be selected on multiply. Gotta find it. Okay. Increase the brush size to about the diameter of the. You want the diameter to be the width of the scar. So keep increasing it. And I don't know why mine's not increasing. Here. I'm having some technical difficulties. Hang on. I'm going to name this dictation. Okay, and I'm going to select this. And that's about good right there. That's this size right here. And now whenever we brush over it, it has a little bit of irritation around it. And we want some extra irritation. There we go. Then we want our a new layer for bruising. Now it's very important that the bruising and the irritation goes under the stitches. Very important. But over the original layer. So you want to go ahead and go to blue. Leave it on the same area right here, but just increase and decrease that. That's very important as well. And then go ahead and add in a little bit of bruising. There we go. That's perfectly fine. And then we're pretty much done, except for now we gotta deal with the opacities. And with this one, it's gonna be called bruising. So bruising. So I don't get confused. Bruising. Okay. That looks like an ad libbing bruise right there. Alright. And then let's go ahead and decrease the opacity on that a little bit. No, let's go ahead and increase that. That doesn't look that realistic. Alright, there we go. Now you can make your quality a lot better. I've made this in less than 10 minutes, so yours could possibly be very, very better. So that's pretty much how you do that. And if you want to increase it a little bit, you can go ahead and do this by adding in the blur tool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on how you do it. And let's go ahead and add 67. Now let's go with 88. And then you just go ahead and add in the. You want to stay in this area. You don't want to drag it all over the place. And then on our irritation, just drag around the areas. There we go. And that should make it a little bit more realistic on that part. Okay. And that's how you make stitches on Adobe Photoshop.